If they do that, they're going to be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Wilson! Oh! And we are tied!
Let's go! Call them by Slamma Jamma.
And I don't ever let them forget where we come from.
Getting those phones out. Report me acting ignorant.
Dayon Chris got his way through, and he may go! Chris is in! Houston leads out of nowhere!
Seventh heaven for Houston. The Cougars advance to their seventh Final Four.
Go Cougs! Let's go! It's so good! The dream remains alive for the Houston Cougars!
Welcome into a brand new season opening edition of Pod Slamma Jamma here on the Pod Slamma Jamma YouTube channel, Pod Slamma Jamma X channel, wherever you may be listening. My name is Yanez. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Dayon Dunlap, and we are joined by Kenneth Bowman of Coog TV. Kenneth, you were on the show last week. We did a little preview, season-wide preview of the 2025 season. Today, we're going to be focusing a lot more on Houston's Week 1 matchup against Stephen F. Austin this Thursday at TDECU Stadium, 7 p.m. kickoff. Before we get into any specifics, Dayon, Kenneth, how are y'all doing on this Tuesday evening?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good. Great to hear it. It's game week. A lot of excitement in the air. Welcome in everybody that is joining us on YouTube. We have a brand new feature. We're switching it up, and the cool thing about this is that we can even change layouts in real time. So thank you for all of you guys that are tuning in. Wanda Polk, Jeb, and Go Cougs. Ryan. we need a chat, man. But anyways, let's get into some specifics. Houston Week 1 matchup. Stephen F. Austin. Kenneth, I'm kind of put you in the driver's seat. What can you tell us about Stephen F. Austin? What can Houston fans expect to see this Thursday when it comes to the Lumberjacks?
This is Houston's first FCS opponent in quite a few years. They are led by Kobe Carthel at head coach. They went 7-5 last year, 4-3 in conference play. They had an FCS playoff appearance back in 2021. They rejoined the Southland in 2024. They won the WAC conference in 2022. They are losing. They lost a kicker, Chris Compass. He was the all-time leader in field goals made and points scored. They lost their punter to the CFL draft. Last year, they led the FCS in scoring offense after week 9. They have a bunch of returners from last year, including their quarterback, Sam Vidlak. He had 2,387 yards, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. They have a transfer, junior running back, Richard Reese, transfer from Baylor. He was a 2022 first-team freshman All-America, and he was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year as well. He had a lot of production as a freshman, but the next 2 years weren't as productive, which is why he ultimately decided to transfer to SFA. And that's kind of my little early rundown of them.
It sounds like they got a lot of experience returning, especially in them skill positions. I think I expect them to come out with that experience and be ready to play early in the game. I think that in drilling in with that experience, they'll come out ready to play.
You do. You definitely did your research, Kenneth. When we're talking about the quarterback, you mentioned Sam Vidlak. Probably butchering his last name, but he had a really good, just stats-wise from a quarterback, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions a year ago. Just on the surface, those are really impressive, eye-popping numbers. I don't care if you're FCS or whatever level, to have that ratio, it's definitely impressive, and that's definitely something that Houston's got to keep an eye on. If he seems like a playmaker. What have you heard? What has been kind of the Houston perspective? I know you were part of head coach Willie Fritz's presser on Monday. What's kind of the Houston perspective when it comes to their Week 1 opponent?
I tell you my perspective. I think we need to go out there and put up about 40 points. Kind of, show off early of what the Houston Cougars can do this year. Willie Fritz, he's not, he doesn't really take any team lightly. This team included. Senior Austin, they are an FCS team, but they've had success at the FCS level, so they're not a bad team by any means. So I think it's definitely been like a business like perspective. Just the Monday practice I was at, they're still going in a order of things, and like it was any other team. So yeah, it's very business-like, and I think they're going to go out there and handle business on Thursday.
Dayon, Kenneth says that Houston needs to put up 40. What do you think the Cougars got to go do and show out on Thursday?
No, I second that. I think they definitely have to at least put up 40, but I think it's more important to set the kind of the stage and the tempo from what's to come for this upcoming season. I mean, we were so bad offensively last year. I think just Coog fans, including myself, want to see a great offensive output. And what better way to do that than putting up 40 points? I think not only do we want to see a team like with Coach Fritz, who definitely wants to run the football. He always says that he wants to control the line of scrimmage. But with that, I mean, we want to see Connor put it in the air as well. So our playmakers, I want to see really just a well-rounded offense, especially against FCS opponent. I'm expecting, I hope that we come out and really put on a show offensively. I think it's very important, especially for Houston fans, to make believers, okay, we came out, we look good, we handled business like we're supposed to. And I think going into those next two games following after that, it can kind of build some momentum, especially going into the Rice game and then the following week after that.
It's barely week one, and when you have an opponent like Stephen F. Austin, it's kind of not to get too cliche, but it's a tone setter for the season, right? If they go out there and make a statement and they look impressive doing it against what should be an inferior opponent, at least on paper, then you have fans start to feel excited. And off air, before we jumped on the show, we kind of saw the schedule. We'll get into the kind of looking ahead in a bit, but Houston has a really good opportunity with their first two games. Not to take anything away from Stephen F. Austin or Rice, but those are two opponents that, from Houston, as a Big 12 Power 5 school, feel like they should be able to go out there and not only win those games, but do so in a relatively dominant fashion. And that is from us, outside the locker room. That is what we want to see on Thursday when Houston takes the field against Stephen F. Austin. Kenneth, focusing on the Houston perspective, in order for Houston to be able to do that, to go out there, offense look good, put up 40, what has to go well? What players do we need to look for in this matchup for Houston to be able to be successful, to find success on offense specifically?
Definitely Connor Wigman, of course, former 5-star Texas A&M transfer. I mean, everyone's excited about him. We want to see what he can do. We've seen it a little bit at A&M. I would say a guy like Rashawn Sanford. He's pretty good in the running back position. Dean Connors, the transfer from Rice. Tight end Tanner Koziel, big target. The depth chart says he's 6'9". I don't think he's that tall, but Tanner Koziel, he caught a lot of passes last year, 8 touchdowns, 800 plus receiving yards. Stephon Johnson, Connor Wigman told me that the team says Stephon's the face of the franchise. So,
wow.
Hopefully he'll live up to that on Thursday. Devin Williams, Harvey Broussard, and I think we're going to see a lot of guys play in this first game too, just in terms of rotations. They're playing Stephen F. Austin, so there's going to be room for other guys to come in the game and see what they can do. But those guys that I just mentioned, I think that's going to be a big core of the offense that we're going to see throughout the whole year.
Dan, what are you going to be looking for in terms of, speaking of Houston offensively, what do you want to see on Thursday night? What either player, position group, or do you want to see excel against Stephen F. Austin?
I mean, of course, like you said, Connor, number one. I mean, like we both just said, the passing last year wasn't up to par, just to say the least. And so I'm looking for him to come out and set the tone. And Boogie Johnson. I mean, you look at the lineage of receivers that we have from years past. Let's just hear years of recent. I mean, you can go Speedy, from Tank. And then before that, you go Stephen Dunbar. Just look at the lineage of receivers, and he's stepping right in. And I'm expecting last year we talked about how big of a playmaker he is with the ball in his hands. He got that 1-2 that can make you miss. So I'm looking for him to make some explosive plays. And then Sanford, I mean, he's one of those elusive backs, one cut that can make you miss. I think he's a do-it-all back as well. Although I think Dean, they'll really split the reps between those two. I think Dean can also do it all, but I'm really looking for his explosiveness to make some explosive plays. I really want to see explosive plays of 10 to 15 plus yards. That's really what I got my eye on. How many explosive plays can we make throughout this game? I think if just from those three skill positions, along with the tight end as well. I mean, listed at 6'9", but from what I've seen, he looks more like 6'6", 6'7", but he looks big. I mean, once you see him from the video, from the footage that I've seen, I haven't seen him live yet, but he looks the part. And so I want to see if is a red zone threat, or if like he says, hey, when I'm covered, I'm open. And so just things like that, but really more or less the explosive plays. How can we generate explosive plays, whether it's through the air or on the ground? That's something that we really didn't have much of last year. I think that's something I really, really got to get more. We got to get explosive plays. We got to control the ball, let our defense not have to play so much.
Couple things from there. Sticking with Boogie Johnson, since you both mentioned his name, he led Houston in receiving last year, but I mean, to be honest, 400 receiving yards, about just over 400 receiving yards. Like Dayon said, not a good year for the Houston offense at all. It seemed like, especially towards the tail end of the season, the Houston coaching staff was not confident in any one of their quarterbacks throwing past 10 yards. I think this is something for Stephon Johnson, who that comment that you said, he's the face of the program right now, is one, a testament to how much belief that the team has in him as a player, but two, I think this could very well be a breakout year for him. Like Dayon, you said, when it comes to the lineage of receivers that University of Houston is known for, not only in recent years, but just in general, he very well is poised to be that next person. And if Connor is able to, and there's various factors, but if Connor looks good, he looked the part throughout fall camp, and Kenneth, you can attest more in terms of what you saw from Connor in fall camp, but this very well could be a year where we're not just talking about Boogie Johnson, best receiver here at Houston, but maybe among the Big 12 and, maybe some national buzz as well.
I mean, yeah, I do agree. That's kind of the same notion I had, that Boogie can be the next guy, next great wide receiver like Tank Dell and Matt Golden, guys like that. With Connor, just what I've seen of just going back to spring ball, I mean, the guys I've kind of bought in with Connor Wigman on the team right away. He commanded the locker room early. He came in, he went to work, and the rest of the team noticed that and just kind of fall in line with what he was doing, because at the end of the day, the team knows what he was brought here to do. And, no knock to Zion Chris or whatever. But, I mean, Zion Chris, he's a good ball player. He's talented. And I wouldn't necessarily put all the offensive struggles on the quarterback. There was a multitude of issues, offensive line, play calling, things like that. And then even, they brought in a new OC and Slade Nagel. So, I think, and then what I've seen in Connor in camp, he's hitting guys up. I think I've probably seen like throw like one or two picks in all of fall camp. So, yeah, he's hitting guys up. He's not going. I mean, they're not going to have him go out there and throw him 60, 70-yard bombs in practice. They're working on real stuff. But red zone, he's very precise in the red zone, and I think him and Tanner Kozier are going to have that red zone connection. Like, that's a real red zone target guy that he can look for, and find consistently.
Yeah, I think he's great with yards after catch. Get the ball in his hands, then create those explosive plays. And I think what I was thinking about as Kim was talking was how Connor is kind of similar to our program, and he fits it so well in the sense of he went to A&M and didn't go like he wanted. He was highly talented, but now he's kind of like an underdog. People's underlooking him, and that's kind of how Houston is. I mean, he's looking to build his name, build his brand to what he can be, and what better way to do that, leading your hometown Houston. And I think he's ready, and he's excited to come out and prove that people said he was what he thought he was when he came out of high school. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see the offense. So the new offense, and I expect. Well, I guess I would ask him. Now I can't say what I expect because I haven't seen as much as he has. Is it? Have you seen more of a pro style approach? A lot from as far as scheme wise. Some
Yeah, I mean, Slade, just from what Slade Daniels done in the past, he's gone a lot of pro style West Coast, um, maybe even spread. I think maybe pro style, and I know Coach Fritz, he's like a defensive mind and he wants to go a balanced attack.
Mhm.
I think depending on the matchup, that will determine on what type of offense they run because Slade Nagel has ran different type of offenses, and but from what Coach Fritz wants to run, he wants to go balanced. So he's saying like we want to give our running backs 15, 20 carries a game. So that might take the ball out of Connor's hands, here and there, but we might get a game where Connor puts up 30 or 35 passes and then we only do 10 or 15 snaps at running back. So I think it will just depend on the matchup. But coming in, I know Willie Fritz wants to do a balanced attack, and adjustments will be made as needed.
Couple things real quickly on the running backs group. You both mentioned Dean Connors, Rashawn Sanford. I think Stacey Sneed you add to that list as well. He seemed like a player that the coaching staff had a lot of confidence just in the few chances that I was able to go to fall camp and see. It seems like that trio when it comes to the running backs group will get a bulk of the carries throughout the season. And the second point to the position group, Big 636. Or Big 636 talked about the offensive line. That's obviously the big question to be answered when it comes to the Houston Cougars, and it's tricky, right? Because we've seen Houston scrimmage, but you really just will not know until they go out on the field and they're playing against different competition. From what you've seen in fall camp, Kenneth, what are your thoughts and opinions on the online, specifically when it comes to the scrimmages? How has the online looked at in scrimmages during fall camp?
I mean, like you said, it's not really much that you can kind of predict on how good they'll be this year. But I mean, just on the guys that have been brought in and the experience that they bring, I think it definitely is an improved group just off that. I mean, these guys have been playing football games. I mean, I don't think trash guys are playing all these games. And then we still have Pancake Hunter returning. I mean, I really like Dalton Merriman at tackle. He's that guy. Now that guy is actually 6'9", and he moves well. He's long. So O line. We'll just have to see on Thursday.
I think, and that was a good point for him to bring that up because we've been talking about skill positions, but they can't do nearly half of what they thought and what we expect them to do if they aren't protecting or if they don't control the line of scrimmage. And so Connor has to have the time and they have to be able to get the push to be able to establish a run game. So that's something I will keep my eye on with, especially just looking forward. Not so much with SFA, but going forward when we face the Big 12, like our first Big 12 opponent with Colorado, and just going forward, like what do we have a Big 12 offensive line? Can we control the line of scrimmage and force them to bring some extra guys in the box to be able to open up our passing game? So that's going to be big. I think I to get those explosive players, I expect the O line to dominate. And they
That's a
have to
great point.
dominate.
That's
I
a
agree.
great point, Dayon. Years past, the Houston has not had a Big 12 offensive line the past 2 years, and it's been, I mean, quite frankly, it's been obvious every time they step out on the field more often than not against Big 12 opponents. Last thing I want to talk about when it comes to the offense, Locked On Cougs, shout out for commenting on the show, says, let's call it 25 carries on Thursday. Best guesses as to who gets how many.
I think it's going to be distributed like it was last year early. I think they'll let whoever's kind of got it going kind of get the bulk of the carries. So
Who's
I
running back
probably
one
say
in the Who's running back one in the depth chart, Kenneth?
I believe it's
Stanford.
Sanford.
Yep.
But I mean, there's like 5 guys in our running back room. I think they're all going to play every week. I mean, even if it's just one carry or like special teams, like Jamarion Burnett, DJ Butler, Stacey Sneed. I mean, those guys are going to be in the rotation, and we'll see them get carries, throughout the year.
That's something we talked about last year, especially with Bryce. He mentioned kind of how it's hard for some running backs to kind of get a groove when they rotate so much and kind of. But so I want to see if they still have that. I expect that same approach early, especially against SFA. But I wonder as the season goes on, if someone kind of separates themselves, will they begin to kind of settle in on a set rotation for two or three guys?
So we spent a lot of time talking on the offense. Now let's flip over to the other side of the ball, and we're talking about defense. And obviously the storyline all of really from the end of spring into the summer was the loss that the secondary specifically had in the transfer portal heading into fall camp. The key word when it came to the defense, specifically when it came to that position at secondary at cornerback, was depth. There's a lot of depth, and not just in the secondary, but a multitude of positions when it comes to the 2025 Houston Cougars defense. And obviously, of course, they are also having a new defensive coordinator lead them from a season ago in Austin Armstrong. So, Kenneth, defense fall camp, how's it looked, and what can you expect from the Houston Cougars defense in 2025?
I like, honestly, I like what I've seen under the defense. And the back end of fall camp, the defense, I see the defense won a few of the days. They kind of had some good outings going against Connor and the ones. There is a lot of depth across the defense, the secondary in particular. I mean, I kind of like how they did it. Is like, okay, we kind of lost our stars in the secondary, and so let's just go get 5 guys, and they can battle it out and compete. I think we'll probably see Will James and Jordan Allen starting at corner and safety. I mean, one guy I was kind of surprised. Not necessarily. No, I wouldn't say as much as surprise, but Jesus Machado. He's coming off some injuries, but he's not on the depth chart right now. But I mean, I think going forward, he's going to work his way up into that rotation. And another guy who's kind of what I was looked at a lot was Corey Platt. He's on there, but he's number 2. Looking at the depth chart, we got Latravion McCutcheon. He's starting in that jack position. So he had an impressive camp to beat out his Brendan Mack. But depending on what they run, we might see both of them on the field at the same time.
Yeah,
It's gonna be hard to kind of. I don't even want to say. No, I'll take that back because I don't even want to make a comparison. The defense has been. It has been good. I mean, it's especially last year, they were good. They were good, and they really were the best unit on the team. And so, I think we hear the word depth a lot, and that we've heard some of the DPs saying it's quality depth. So, regardless of who's in, it's not a drop off. But I'm going to be looking at that corner matchup. I mean, because let's face it, Big 12, it's a lot of throwing. It's a lot of passing, and you have to be able to cover. But also within that, you have to be able to get to the passer. So that's kind of the two positions, cornerback and D-line, D-end, because Houston has been putting them out in the league as well. I mean, that's one of the prominent positions that UH from the last few years has been able to develop as defensive end. And so I wonder, when we kind of step up and get back to where we were, I wouldn't say last year, but years before that. I mean, where we've had defensive end after defensive end or defensive tackle kind of step up and make a name for themselves. And so with some of the names that Kenneth just mentioned, whether it's Mac, Platt, or whoever, who's going to step up and make the name? I think that's why it's so a good time to be at Houston, because the ascension is real. But you have the chance to kind of be a part of that and be a star of that. And so within that comes a lot of notoriety, because you have a program that's kind of been stagnant, hasn't risen since a few years. And so to be a standout player on a team with so much promise and so much potential, I think can really do anybody numbers.
When we're talking about where Houston stands in the Big 12, obviously towards the bottom last year, but down to your point, the games that they won in conference play, the reason why even they were able to pull off the upset against K-State a season ago was because of that defense. They were definitely a defensive first team a season ago, and the stretch as a defensive team that looked very, very dominant. Connected all for now, and this past Saturday, week 0. We got to see 2 of what we expect to be the premier schools in the Big 12 in Iowa State, Kansas State. And this is us kind of jumping ahead. It's way too early. But based on what you guys saw week 0, first game, do you, not to put stuff in rose-colored glasses, but do you think Houston how would they look against those 2 teams in Big 12 play? Or I guess I could phrase it better. What does Houston have to do to be able to compete against those 2 teams and be towards the top half of the Big 12? What are the different boxes that they have to check in order to be at that level?
I mean, I say we kind of already did it last year. Like they beat Kansas State in an upset, and then Iowa State. I mean, that probably
won that
could.
game.
Yeah, that probably could have been a win if the offense would have scored some points. But it was basically they kind of shut Iowa State out until about fourth and the third quarter, beginning the fourth quarter. So, I mean, that is a good example of they are supposed to be the top teams, but I mean I wouldn't even say that was like at least at the beginning of the game it wasn't really good football going on. They were fumbling around and stuff. But I mean I and also you can't really overreact because teams they learn how to play throughout the year, and especially now with college football and transfer portal and stuff. These programs are deploying essentially new units every year. So. But, I mean, I see them hanging with a lot of the Big 12 teams, and then the schedule is not nearly as difficult as it was last year either. So I think that's the benefit for Houston in terms of, standings and things like that.
No, I definitely agree. I think they definitely have I wouldn't say a favorable schedule, but not as tough a schedule as it was last year. So I think it's really key to getting off to a good start because momentum is real. I think players feed off momentum, and then once you get momentum from Houston fans, they begin to kind of pack out their stadium. That's why it's so important, in my opinion, to get off to a good start, especially in dominating fashion those first 2 games. And so, what I'm looking forward to, you got to be able to rush the pass and defend the pass, but then have a balanced offense. Like Kenneth said, and Coach Fritz and staff, what they want to do. You got to be able to have a balanced offense. And depending on the matchup, you might have to throw it 25, 30 times, or you might have to run it. So to have the ability to do it either and switch it up and get play action pass to force the defense to play, defend the run, I think Houston can. Why not? Why can't they be the surprise like Arizona State was last year and win the Big 12? And so I think it's definitely possible. You got a quarterback who has experience, SEC experience at that, and is coming back home. And I think Coach Fritz, you just look at his track record in his second year, the leap that his teams make and kind of get in a lot of guys of his guys and being able to truly establish a culture, although a few changes on a couple coordinators, but I think the team is so bought in and they're hungry to prove not only who they are as individuals, but prove that Houston can be what Houston can be, and that's to be a powerhouse like we want to be.
Those are great points from both of you guys. And when we're talking about Houston as a whole, there's one area that we haven't talked about yet, really much, and that's special teams. Houston this year on special teams are doing a lot of different things, and I think that the prominent name that we have to mention is Austin Carlisle, who is listed in the depth chart as a quarterback, but throughout fall camp they even had him returning kicks. They had him returning punts. Kenneth, what have you seen from special teams? And it seems like they're making it a focal point to try to get Austin Carlisle on the field in some way, shape, or form, just because of how incredible of an athlete he is. What have you seen from special teams and about Austin as well, specifically?
Yeah, speaking on Austin, I mean he's a fast guy. He's an athlete. I mean he ran track in high school. So I think they're trying to figure out different ways to get him on the field. Maybe not at the QB position. In my opinion, I mean, we might see him out on Thursday, but I think it's going to be Makai Muse holding it down in the return game.
Hmm.
At least in kickoff, we might see him get a couple punts. I think I only seen him on like one. Austin Carla, I think I only seen him on like one kickoff sequence in camp, but the times he's been out there has been in punt. But and then he has to beat Makai Muse out at the return game. Makai Muse is an excellent returner. He had a return for a touchdown last year. And in terms of just the special teams overall, they really just the last week of camp, they really were just going. I say longer sessions than we've seen before. Them working in that special teams really instilling into the guys on how important special teams is. The players themselves are honed in with special teams this year, and it's a good point of emphasis because there was a lot of penalties in the kickoff game and the return game. You get a penalty in the return game, and that just kills your whole drive before it starts. And even worse, especially when you have an offense that can't move the ball as is, and then you get a 15-yard penalty on kickoff, and you're back at your own 20 and can't move the ball.
No, well said. I agree. Definitely see Makai being the kick returner. And I wouldn't mind seeing Boogie as a punt returner, although he's probably going to have a huge responsibility offensively, but he's so elusive in the open field. I wouldn't mind seeing him on there. So I'm excited to see the special teams. Coach Fritz it really focuses a lot on special teams from what I hear. And so I'm excited to see primarily the return game. I mean, can we create explosive plays on a return game, get short fields for our offense, and that's just as important um, for our defense to be able to create some explosive plays in the return game. And so I'm gonna be keeping my eye on that as well. But I think McCollum is definitely will be the lead return guy, and rightfully so. I mean, but Austin, I expect him to play against SFA. We get up, see him some in some capacity. I wouldn't mind.
This question is for you, Kenneth. I'll let you take it. But what do you think about the initial two deep on all sides? He says the team seems much deeper. It's from EI Crabtree on YouTube.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth. That's kind of the topic of the team this year. So I mean, the oars is just it might be this guy or this guy, the second guy, and I think that's just the staff. They're figuring out the rotation. That's kind of they're putting it down. We have an idea on who might be the backup, or they see some guys as interchangeable, and it's just a week one depth chart, so nothing's really set in stone. There's a whole 12-game season, plus postseason if they make it. So it's. I mean, I really didn't look too much into it because the depth chart is subject to change week by week.
Last thing I want to ask you about special teams, but the kicking game. What can you tell us about the kicker, even the punter, heading into the season?
They're gonna put the ball through the goalposts, and we're gonna have some really good punts. Hopefully, we're gonna pin teams deep in their on their side of the field, and help the defense out whenever they have to punt. But hopefully, I think the less the punters on the field, I think that means we're scoring. So
Yeah,
I
well
did
said.
hear Coach Fritz say that I always seen a drive on a kick, whether it's a punt or a field goal. So
No
that's something
turnovers.
for sure that we all want to do.
On turnovers. Well, now it's time for the moment of truth. Looking ahead, we've previewed Stephen F. Austin, but also this is kind of like a preview to the entire 2025 season. Kenneth, you and I talked about what we predictions think that Houston will get in terms of wins this season. Dayon, what say you? How many wins do you think that this 2025 Houston Cougars football team gets?
We'll go with 8 wins. I think 8 wins, just looking at the schedule, is definitely a possibility and could be more. I mean, of course, this is preseason before we even seen Houston, before we seen other team. And so it's all kind of projecting some teams how they would look, what they have returning. But just looking at the schedule, I think they can definitely pull out 8 wins and be a surprise team and just keep that momentum going. Recruiting class get bigger and get better and better, and then Houston finally kind of get rolling as a legit Power Four conference team that'll be reckoned with for years to come.
Yeah, you and sorry, real quick, you and Cougs, our money on YouTube, are in agreement. Go get 8 wins.
Yeah.
Go
Yep.
Cougs. Sorry, Ken, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, I can see 8 wins as well. I mean, I think the safe bet is 7-5, but I mean 8-4. I mean, I even said it on the preview last week. I mean, I can see 9-3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's,
Yep.
but you know, realistic expectations. You know, non-biased, non-homer. I say 7-5. Someone said 10.
So, just to tie it all together, a successful season. Do you just becoming bowl eligible? Is that success? Or you think at least 7 wins would be a success? What's
I say if you go 6-6, and I think it also depends on how you go 6-6 because
Yeah.
I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, they're gonna go 6-0 and then go 6-6." I would say that's a bad year because how do you lose 6 in a row?
6 straight,
And
yes.
yeah, so you know things like that, and I don't even think a Coach Fritz team would go out and lose 6 games in a row, you know, and he
especially after winning for the
yeah,
first?
if a Willie Fritz team loses 6 games in a row, he might just resign from the program. So I don't see that, but you know, 7-5, 8-4. I think those are realistic options. And then, you know, if you want to go bet the over 9 wins, high risk, high reward, you know, go do that. You might get some money off of that.
Dayon, what say you?
I definitely think 7 wins minimum is a good year. I don't think 6-6. Well, it's hard to say because they exceeded expectation last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, which is
With,
crazy to say.
Oh,
They went
and
four
which
and
is
eight, and
they could
literally,
shock somebody really. Like
yeah.
they might
right.
go out and shock a team that people, you know, coming in, they might be the underdog or people think, you know, the Houston Cougars is gonna lose this game, and then they come out and you know get someone good. And I think it's possible because it's about who's more locked in than the other team. Who's more locked in even given week, somebody can win, and then it might not be the team you think is going to win or a team that's supposed to win.
And I
36
think
is 10 wins.
and I think under Coach Fritz is something that we didn't have on the last regime is it's going to be uh, somewhat a consistency on what you expect to see from Houston week to week.
Hmm.
And it wasn't like that in years past. It would be up, it would be really, really down. It would be kind of up and down, up and down. I think and even from last year, it was consistent how they defenses played. The offense was up and down, but I think the defense, again, will be consistent, although they did lose some names, but I'm expecting them to be consistently good. Now, the offense, can they be consistent? And so I think as a whole, Coach Fritz is going to put out a consistent football team week in and week out with the schedule. I mean, I see 7 wins. I see potential 8 wins. Like I said, and if all goes well, I mean, who knows what some of these teams look like? I mean, they might be worse than what we projected them to be. Houston might get hot and start really rolling. And so I definitely say 7, 8 wins is a successful season for sure.
Yeah, looking at the schedule right now on paper, the toughest game is probably that Texas Tech matchup, and it's still relatively early in the season, October 4th.
In the
You know,
Arizona State.
yeah, that's true. When they have to travel at
Yep.
Arizona State, those two are
Those are the toughest
the
two.
big tough. We don't necessarily know what Colorado would look like when they get in here week 3. They're in a little bit of a transition just in terms of obviously the key pieces that they lost. But it'll be interesting to see. And they don't have to play Kansas State. They don't have to play Iowa State. They don't have to play some of the top tier programs that were in the Big 12 a season ago. So who knows? Or maybe one of these other teams take a leap as well. So I think there's definitely a good opportunity for Houston. And I think the baseline for a good season would be that I think if they can go to 8-4, capture the momentum. There's already a lot of buzz about next year in the recruiting class and just the talent that they're bringing in. If they can get to 8-4, I think it very well could be a turning point for this program where, okay, we winning games and now we're bringing a very, very loaded class. And shoot, from there, that could be a launching point for this football team that it hasn't seen in a really, really long time. But we shall see. The exciting thing, it all gets started this Thursday, August 28th, from TDECU Stadium against Stephen F. Austin, week 1 for the Houston Cougars. College football is back. We'll take this time to plug that we will also be back with Let's Rage Cougs, the Let's Rage Cougs post-game show presented by the Saxonian family. I already got it down for the new season. So join myself, Dayon, Chris Gardner of the Houston Round Ball Review will be on with us as well, and Bryce Bell will be back this season, former Houston Cougars running back. So we'll be back immediately after Thursday's game between Houston and Stephen F. Austin, talking about all things that happened in the game. Kenneth, thank you for your time, for joining us. You were great as always.
Appreciate you for having me, Andy.
You deserve all the praise
Oh yeah,
for what you guys are doing with Coog TV. And this is your time to shine, man. Where can people find you? Anything else that you'd like to promote?
Yeah, y'all see the @ names, Coog TV, my personal Twitter, KJ Bone. Hey, you can see me on Go Cougs. We got something coming up with them tomorrow. Actually, it's not mine, but Go Cougs, be on the lookout. You might see me on there. You might not, but you will see me on there. If Ryan's still on here, I did not quit Go Cougs. So yeah, shout out Mr. Ryan Monso, the guy from Go Cougs. He's been plugging us up, putting us on, shouting us out. The cosigns are insane. We be getting the Andy Yanez cosigns. Everybody's tapping in. We got dudes in both football and basketball programs. They're liking the content. We getting the retweets. We got the Houston men's basketball team. They follow us on Twitter. They follow me personally on Twitter. I think that's a pretty big that's a pretty big thing.
That's big time. That's big time.
So I mean I'm but
no pressure, but that means if you tweet something, there's a chance that it'll end up somehow in Kelvin.
It might get seen internally, but that's kind of I kind of already gotta look at what I'm putting down and stuff like that. But that's kind of something I already knew before I started this whole thing. Like, let me not put out nothing too crazy so people don't see this in 5 years and bring up my old tweets like happens to some of these guys. I think I was gonna say something else. But yeah, man, the support is kind of crazy right now. It might seem like nothing, but it's something to me. I haven't got a dime off of this yet, but it's coming soon. So yeah. Hopefully when these checks start coming in, we can really turn this thing up. And yeah, man, I'm excited for this year. I think this is a great time to be a Coug. Football is coming up. There's a lot of in between stuff going on with football. Next year 2026, we already know what's going on with that. Basketball, we got a ton of talented guys. So when basketball started, you might see me on here again talking about basketball. But that's kind of my thing. It's my spiel.
Kenneth, that is what we call a plug. If you would like to get Kenneth some sponsorship, some NIL.
Yeah, man. Rev share is out.
We can. We're planning to check in weekly. Let's get him a little NIL deal. Right? Name of your business, the Kenneth show. We can give him his own show. Give him some little NIL deal. Cougs helping Cougs, like Chris always likes to see. So feel free, reach out and we can work something out. But like Dayon and I say backstage before we went live, man, you guys keep killing it. Yeah, not to sound like a broken record, but we've seen it from going back to the Final Four in San Antonio and the work that you guys have done even before that. Content, really a resurgence of Coog TV. It's really awesome for the both of us as UH alumni to see that because, there were some dark days when it came to Coog TV and before you guys took over. So it's always good to see the alma mater succeed and you guys you and Daniel Rodriguez being the catalyst of that resurgence. So big props. And again, if you're interested in getting Kenneth the NIL
Yeah,
deal, reach out.
section 12X. Get at me. I know y'all coming up.
Uh,
I see y'all.
yeah, yes, sir.
And oh yeah, definitely. Speaking of Daniel, that's my guy Daniel. He's been holding it down as sports producer at Coog TV. He's really a master at the editing and the video making stuff. We're kind of he's my cameraman. If you need something filmed, something edited, he's on it. He makes great videos, great content creation. We might get him on here one day. And yes, definitely shout out to Houston Soccer, man. We were there, put up 4 goals on UT. Coach Ben Williams, he's tapped in. He follows us on Cool TV. Shout out Ben Williams, man. He's doing his thing. And I think soccer's gonna have a great year. Just starting off that. You can continue, Andy. I didn't want to tell
No, that's a
No,
big
you good.
statement, man.
Yeah, you good.
You're a pro's pro, man. We should just
Yeah,
go
man.
ahead and let you take us home. Big shout out to Houston Soccer to reiterate. Anytime UT loses, America wins, and so do we here in Houston. Dayon, I'll toss it over to you, sir. Final thoughts, and you get to close us out.
Of course. I mean, it was good meeting Kenneth virtually. I'll be down to the H soon this year, and we'll meet, chop it up. But like I gave you the flowers before we came live. I mean, you guys are killing it at Coog TV. Proud of you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. And right now, you're just laying down the blueprint, and you're gonna build that house, and the money gonna start coming in. So right now, keep doing the work that you're doing, and just know the grind. It definitely will pay off, man. Y'all doing a great job over there. I'm excited. To be on screen with you and continue to build from here. Looking forward to the season. Looking forward to Houston football kind of making their name like basketball has done. And looking forward to all the other sports continue to grow, continue to make Houston a powerhouse and all the way around as we all want. We're all Cougs. And I'm excited, man. Football is officially back. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. And of course, you can't end a show without saying go Cougs.